In today's segment of What's in a Name, we're going to go over the name Cajun. Cajun comes from Acadian. It's a group of settlers from Nova Scotia who were exiled by the British in the 1700s. They left the area they were exiled from and found their way to South Louisiana. When the Acadians finally reached South Louisiana, they stepped onto a land that felt like another world, gone were the cold shores of Nova Scotia, replaced by heat, mud, and a wild, tangled swamp that seemed determined to swallow them whole. These people, who would soon be known as simply Cajuns, had already survived exile, loss, and a journey across oceans. But now came a new battle, learning how to carve a life out of a place that didn't give anything easily. The ground was soft and sinking, the air was thick enough to chew, and the mosquitoes, Lord, they came in clouds big enough to darken the sun. To make this strange land a home, the Cajuns had to adapt fast. They had to learn the rhythms of the bayou, the rise and fall of the tides, the seasons of flood and drought. They learned to hunt creatures they'd never seen before, alligators with jaws like a trap, garfish armored like old knights, snapping turtles tough as the land itself. They fished the muddy waters, trapped in the marshes, and turned every challenge into a skill, every hardship into a tradition. Slowly, stubbornly, they transformed the swamp into a place of family, faith, and food. Welcome to part 2 of What's in a Name, the chapter where we learn how carving out a life in the swamp didn't just change the Acadians, it created an entirely new culture. Down in South Louisiana, the newcomers quickly discovered that the locals lived by one simple rule. If it comes from the water or the woods, you don't waste a thing. From shellfish to swamp creatures, every part had a purpose. Meat for the pot, shells for the tools, bones for broth. Nothing was thrown away, because down here, the land didn't give you much, but it gave you enough if you respected it. The Acadians also learned fast that their old staples, barley, oats, the cool weather crops of Nova Scotia, didn't stand a chance in this warm, wet, unpredictable climate. So they adapted. They turned to a grain that thrived in flooded fields. Rice. What started as a necessity soon became a cornerstone of every Cajun cooking. From jambalaya to étouffée, to the everyday pot of rice that sat on nearly every stove. And then came the vegetables. Back home, carrots were a staple. But in this new soil, in this heat, they struggled. Bell peppers, though, bright and bold and hardy, grew like they belonged here. The Acadians made a change that would define their cooking forever. They took the classic French mirepoix, carrots, celeries, onions, and transferred it into something uniquely their own, the Cajun Trinity. The holy base that nearly every dish would come from and define Cajun cuisine. In the swamp, survival demanded creativity, and from that creativity a culture was born. One built on resourcefulness, flavor, and the fierce determination to make this strange land a home.